Diddy is starting damage control ahead of his sentencing, entering into a domestic violence and drug treatment program.
Here we go now.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news in music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. I know it feels like it's been forever since we talked about Sean Diddy Combs, but it hasn't. Be sure to check out our Diddy trial updates for our updates on the trial, what happened at the verdict, and our collaborations with LA prosecutor Kirsten Brown, breaking down the legal aspect of what we've been covering for the last couple of months. But as you already know, in our last video, we were giving you an update on how the sentencing was working. They had a bail hearing, I think it was last week. At this particular point, all the days have molded together this summer. And they all agreed that October 3rd would be the date that for Diddy's sentencing. He was not convicted of the most serious of charges of racketeering and trafficking, which he faced a minimum of 15 years in prison with a maximum of a life in prison. However, he was convicted on 2 charges of the transportation for prostitution of both Jane and Cassie Ventura. You probably have also seen there's been so much speculation on whether or not he will actually serve time. The prosecution is seeking like 4 to 6 years. Of course, Diddy's legal team is seeking like somewhere in 20-something months. But some even legal minds speculate that he could actually walk, saying that time served will be enough. This will be up to the judge. The judge still has the maximum, from what we hear, of 20 years for those charges. So 10 years for each charge. Well, TMZ is now reporting exclusively that Diddy is doing what he needs to do in order to show good faith. So according to TMZ, they said Diddy's already attempting to rehabilitate himself. He's enrolling in self-improvement programs while in federal lockup to address his drug use and violence against women. Just backtracking a little bit, because a lot of people have asked me, do you think Diddy has learned his lesson? Do you think Diddy has been humbled by this experience? And for those of you that were a part of those conversations, I said to you, I don't think so. Because after the verdict, despite still being convicted on 2 of the charges, Diddy's first words, looking at his family, said, "I'm coming home, baby." So for me, it was sort of like, that was presumptuous because at this particular point, the judge hadn't determined whether or not they were going to let him out on bail. But again, some might say, well, no, he's just talking in general. Yeah. So they say sources close to the situation tell TMZ Diddy is in the STOP program, a course the feds offer inmates focused on preventing SA, domestic and dating violence. We're also told he's undergoing therapy and is in the Dr. Harry K. Wexler drug abuse program. According to TMZ sources, they say that Diddy is using the programs to work hard on bettering himself. And one source called it his path toward redemption. Here's the thing, because we've covered so many different cases, including Jen Shaw, who was being prosecuted by the Southern District of New York. And one of the things that we learned from that case was that she entered herself into a drug treatment program because that can be used at lessening someone's sentence. So TMZ continues. They say that our sources say that Diddy's using the programs to work hard on bettering himself. And one source called it its path forward toward redemption. Of course, cynics might say there's a different motivation. Diddy's federal trial featured lots of testimony about domestic abuse against Cassie and Jane, as well as his rampant use of drugs like Molly. It's not uncommon for convicted individuals to enter various programs to show the judge they're serious about rehabilitation ahead of sentencing. Because you may recall from the bail hearing, the judge said, well, throughout the trial, you guys admitted to domestic violence. Domestic violence is violence. So that was part of the judge's motivation to not release him on bail. So they said it's not uncommon for convicted individuals to enter various programs to show the judge they're serious about rehabilitation ahead of sentencing. As TMZ reported, Diddy's sentencing will go down on October 3rd. They're told that he actually started the drug treatment program before his arrest last year, and he's continued while behind bars. So I wondered about that. I was like, is the timeliness of this because of the sentencing coming up? They're saying that he started this beforehand. Diddy dealt federal prosecutors a major loss when he was found not guilty on racketeering and trafficking charges, but the jury nailed him on the two lesser charges for prostitution, which we are not completely shocked about. Prosecutors have recommended a 4-year sentence, but it will be up to Judge Aaron Subramanian on what he will decide. And again, based on some of the conversations around this legally, some are saying that they don't see the judge going too far, meaning giving him the 20 years. Again, he could, but that probably would set a new legal precedent that would be something that they would end up bringing up on appeal later. The Kempire After Dark live experience, The Villain Era, is coming to Atlanta next. Shout out to Philly. We had a fantastic time in Philly. We covered everything from Diddy to Tyler Perry to Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of Miami. We even talked about Trump and the Epstein files. You just never know what's going to come up during our night of hot topics. You spilling tea, me spilling tea, and we had such a fantastic time the last time I came to Atlanta. Let's continue that fun. And then we're coming to DC. We always have a good time in DC, but this is the first time I'm coming to DC for the summer. So you know it's about to be lit. Make sure you get your tickets for that show. But then, of course, we're going to end our summer tour with the Kempire After Dark live experience here in New York City at the Green Room 42, September 12th. That should be a special show. All the shows have meet and greets available, but the New York City show, there's a live stream option. So if you're watching this from across the country or around the world, you can watch it and have that video for a week. But don't wait until after the show. You won't be able to get the live stream ticket then. Get your tickets today. More information on the Kempire After Dark, The Villain Era live experience will be coming to a city near you. Get your tickets today in the description. However, of course, with the age of artificial intelligence, I had to do a little bit more digging, and I have to bring Kirsten back here on the channel to hear her reaction to the verdict and the sentencing, so stay tuned for that. So, of course, we did some research, and this is coming from a prosecutor's perspective. And they said, in regards to the motivation behind Diddy enrolling himself in these programs, they say this. They say there are 3 points from a prosecutor's perspective why someone might do this. Rehabilitation before sentencing. The STOP program focused on preventing sexual domestic violence, and drug counseling signal active efforts to address issues that arose during the trial, namely allegations of domestic abuse and drug use. Prosecutors will view participation as a genuine step toward reform. Do we think the prosecutors will view that as such? At the end of the day, it's going to be up to the judge. So this is really probably more motivation to show the judge. Mitigation for sentencing. They said in federal sentencing guidelines, demonstrated rehabilitation can influence a judge to apply downward departures or recommend a lighter prison term. Prosecutors often acknowledge such efforts, especially when they align with the nature of the offense. Public messaging, because we know Diddy's big on public messaging. His enrollment provides prosecutors with tangible evidence to show to the court that the system holds people accountable and that even high-profile defendants are expected to engage in meaningful rehabilitation. From a defense lawyer's perspective, because I think that's important for us to understand, because a defense lawyer versus a prosecutor are going to have a different perspective, as you saw with, and I love that Kirsten would highlight, like, this might be my prosecutorial bias based on her experience as a prosecutor. But a defense lawyer's perspective on this next step that Diddy's taking says, from the defense side, especially with sentencing looming October 3rd, 2025, being able to point to ongoing therapy is crucial. Harvey Levin of TMZ emphasized that the judges look at this person rehabilitated or trying to rehabilitate themselves. Essentially, the defense is crafting a narrative. He's not just guilty, he's working to change. 2, anticipating civil exposure. With 60+ civil suits still pending for Diddy, being in therapy may help soften juries or judges in civil courts showing a man who is introspective and striving for reform, potentially influencing judgments or settlements. So they're thinking even beyond this federal case. They're thinking about the civil cases as well, possibly. So this is just speculation. This is not fact. Plausible deniability from a defense perspective. While Combs was not convicted of DV, testimony about his violence influenced the verdict on the prostitution charges, also influenced the judge in deciding that he needs to remain behind bars, which might indicate for us what his sentencing might look like as well. Joining the STOP program allows the defense to preemptively address these allegations for optics and integrity without conceding guilt. Establishing credibility by engaging in therapy voluntarily and before sentencing, so they're not making him do this, he's doing this on his own. Combs can bolster the argument that his mistakes stem from deeper issues, i.e., substance abuse, emotional distress. Demonstrating accountability can help him position himself as someone deserving of a non-maximum sentence, which, again, 10 years for per charge that he was convicted of with a 20-year maximum. Just summarizing some of what we see here from the prosecution perspective in Diddy entering into the STOP program, see it as a strong evidence of remorse and rehabilitation, which can support sentencing recommendations. I don't think the prosecutors are going to go easy on Diddy in fighting that he get the maximum time when it comes to what they want. They're seeking 4 to 6 years. But from the defense perspective, they said they're going to use this as a way to humanize Combs, improve optics with the judge, reduce sentencing, and strengthen his standing in pending civil matters. So again, now I have a better understanding in regards to the motivation from both sides, what this could mean for Diddy. It's not just when it comes to the federal case. I think that is the most important thing because he doesn't want to be in jail or prison, but also it could affect the civil cases as well. Guys, it's been a while since we talked about Diddy, but I had to give you an update, and we will continue to give you an update on the most pertinent issues surrounding this case. Because I know you've probably seen some of the recent civil lawsuits that have come out, and some of those things are, again, just reminds me of the circus that surrounded this federal case. We won't be covering every single civil case unless it's pertinent or there's actually some credibility to some of these claims. Guys, let's continue this conversation in regards to Diddy entering this drug and DV program. Is it genuine or is it just to save face? As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
Here we go now.